Well, good day viewers. Today we have a 2009 Dodge Nitro and it's here for a bunch of warning lights on. It's had a history of these lights being on. Now the customer informed me that they did change a right rear speed sensor and a clock spring. They said the clock spring failed in the steering column here and they changed the clock spring. This has been going on for a couple of years now apparently, so we're going to scan it and see what codes it has to give up. So this is a new vehicle, so it's automatically ID'd it. You pulled the mileage, 171,000 kilometers. Display fitted systems. Let's do a code scan, pre-scan. Let's see what it has to offer. Implausible left wheel distance signal received in the engine control computer. Left rear wheel speed sensor, right rear wheel speed sensor, battery voltage low, ABS brake lamp control circuit low, steering angle sensor internal, steering angle sensor over angle over travel performance, steering angle sensor erratic performance, and lost communication with the steering angle sensor. I think the steering angle sensor is part of the clock spring. Right stop lamp, vehicle configuration not programmed, brake fluid level circuit. I wonder if that steering angle sensor or that clock spring needs to be programmed. Vehicle configuration not programmed. ECU configuration mismatch. Well, I've got a record of all these codes. I'm sure that these ABS speed sensor signals, if I'm not mistaken, these are the ones where the speed sensor falls off the wheel bearing because of the rust. But I'm going to put it up in the air and have a look at it. I'm going to clear all codes read by code scan. If the engine is not running. Well, it may not clear the engine codes with it running because Chrysler's don't like that. It's a little slow, this thing. Yeah, it didn't clear the engine codes, but that's okay, I can live with that. So I thought I'd rescan the anti-lock brakes to see if any codes came back. Left rear wheel speed circuit. I think he said, let me check my notes, he did change the left rear wheel speed sensor, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't a wiring problem. So we're under this truck looking at the left rear speed sensor and the wiring looks questionable. Looks like the connector is held on with some baling wire. Looking at the right rear speed sensor, the wires are dangling, but that one's not currently setting a code. Pretty rusty. Well, let's take this connector off and do a visual of it. So there's the connector, focus. It's broken, the lock is broken. Doesn't look bad. And I disconnected it from the control arm and pulled it down here and took it out of the loom. And I don't see any obviously compromised sections, so we're going to check continuity of these two wires from the ABS controller if it's convenient to get to. So I found a previously enjoyed wheel speed sensor. I plugged it into the left rear or right rear to make sure that it was working, and it is. And when I plug it into this side, it's not. So there's likely an open somewhere in this circuit between here and there's another suspicious looking spot right there. Oh. Okay. So this is what I'm using to splice the two wires, these 22 to 26 non-insulated sleeves, crimping them and then heat shrink on them because the wire is basically compromised inside. It needs a new harness, but that should work for now. We're going to plug it in and see if it works, see if the code clears, and then we're going to tape up the harness and secure it. We're going to see if that code cleared automatically. I've got the sensor just temporarily plugged in. Let's see if we got a speed signal from the sensor. Rear left. I'm going to turn the rear left wheel. Yeah, it works. Okay, so now we're going to put some new loom on that harness, tape it up, and protect it a little better from the elements. So there's the right side. It's been repaired before. They put a pigtail on the end of it. At least this pigtail's not broken. Look at the loom all the way up to where it comes out of the floor. I'm going to put all new loom on this. I'm going to double it up where it comes out of this grommet in the floor here, because that's directly in line of fire from the front tire. So the rocks that are thrown back from the front tire pelt this thing.
Okay, so I fastened it with new loom. I still got to cut that tie wrap off, and I doubled up the loom 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch and tie wrapped it around that rubber grommet coming out of the floor, routed the harness where it's supposed to be, and that broken connector, I put a piece of 3/4 inch heat shrink over top of it and heated it up to keep the connector from coming off rather than using haywire. This one, the connector lock is okay, and I did the same thing on this side. I still got to cut that tie wrap. So let's clear the codes and take this thing for a road test. Okay, so we're going to go into the ABS and hopefully, oh, maybe I don't have the key on. Okay, let's try that again. I had the key in accessory. Let's see if we have any codes. No codes. Let's look at data. And rear speed sensor, front speed sensor, rear speed sensor, front speed sensor. Let's go turning the left front wheel. Turning the right front wheel. Turning the right rear wheel. It should turn both sides through the differential, and all the speed sensors are working. Okay, let's take it for a road test. To do a post scan, see if the airbag code's returned. They're probably in there from when the clock spring failed. At least I'm hoping so anyways. Overdrive tow switch input circuit stuck active. I don't recall seeing that before. Instrument cluster cabin compartment node. That's what CCN stands for. Well, let's take it for a road test and see if everything works. So the only active code now is this P0853, which is this tow haul switch, and I imagine it's stuck shut. I'm I'm going to try and blow that out with some compressed air. But that's the only code. It's probably showing depressed all the time. Let's see if we can find it in the data list. Tow mode switch on off shows on. So everything else is working fine. No other lights other than the TPMS, which is probably missing sensors or dead sensors. But the ABS lights are all off and no other codes have returned. I'm just going to blow that switch out with compressed air and see if I can get it to free up. So I managed to get the button free, but it doesn't pop up very easily. So you can see it there now. Tow haul mode off, tow haul mode on, and it's stuck again. Yeah, the button needs to be taken apart, so I'm gonna leave that up to the customer. If he can change the clock spring, I'm sure he can take this apart and take the switch apart and try and clean the spilled coffee out of it. Let's see. Shut it off and restart it. Should default back out of tow haul mode, yeah. So it's not stuck anymore. Well, not this instant. And if I clear the codes, it should go away. So I'll let him deal with that. Probably have to take the top of this console apart to get that switch out. Thanks for watching.